All right, this is an how-to on how to assemble the 1863 Remington Pocket Pistol. It doesn't matter if it's the original, one of the Italian reproductions, the clones, ASM, Pieta, it doesn't matter. They all go together the same. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I like to put in, and you know this is my own method, and I'm sure other people have different ways of doing it. This has always worked for me. So I like to take the hammer and get the hammer in first. You're just going to drop it down in there. You drop it down to expose this little hole right there. And that is where the hand is going to go. The hand is the part that advances the cylinder when the hammer is pulled back. So you're going to take that. I always like to just set it down flat. Get something to level out. Let's take these needle nose and level it out the best I can. This through there. Now before I do that, we're going to put the hand in. There's a little groove right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a little notch, little groove. You want to take the hand and you push it up there with the spring facing the rear of the gun. So we're going to put that in there. Slide that in there. I'm going to line up these two holes right here, the one that I showed you earlier. And we're going to take the smallest screw, the hand screw, and we're going to get it in there. And sometimes this can be a real pain in the ass. You have to be careful because you drop this thing. It is a real pain to get replaced. I've dropped this one before actually and spent an hour looking for it. Helps to have a really strong magnet when you do. Let's see if I can get this in there. All right, see if I can get this started. I want to get this in there. You don't want to tighten it too tight. You just want to get it so that it's below the level of the hand and doesn't catch on the frame. Pretty simple. Just tighten it till it bottoms out, and that'll usually be below the level. You can see it's below the level. All right, you push it in there to the screw hole on the hammer lines up. Take the hammer screw, which is this one right here. Put it in there. You'll feel it when it pushes through. Now you want to tighten these up, but you don't want to tighten them up too tight. This is steel on brass, and the brass will strip if you brute force it. It doesn't need to be brute forced. It's not really, you know, it doesn't have any of that lateral load on it. So just good and tight right there. Always check to make sure that the hand is working. As you can see, it is. The hand is popping up, which would advance the cylinder. All right. The next thing I like to do is put in the trigger and cylinder stop. So you take the cylinder stop. Cylinder stop has two little tabs on it. I don't know if you can see those or not. But you take those tabs and you're going to put it right in there beside the hammer. And the little trick I've learned is to get it in there, place the tab of the cylinder stop where it goes, push it down in there, kind of force a little bit till it's a little bit tight, and then pull the hammer back and it will drop right in there. Return the hammer to the down position, and you want to line up the hole. There'll be a hole right there you line up. Don't know if you can see that or not. You can see the blue through the hole. We line it up. Next thing you want to put in is the trigger. This is actually fairly simple. The back of the trigger points towards the back of the gun. Leave the hammer in the down position and line up the two holes. You want to take the trigger and cylinder stop screw, which is this one right here, and just wiggle it and get it through. And occasionally the trigger will jump out on you. Trust me, this can be frustrating, especially if you haven't done it 50 times. So let's get that in there. Got to reseat that cylinder stop now. I always want to check, make sure that cylinder stop right here, the little tab is up where it needs to go. Line up the hole again. See if we can get the trigger in there. Looking good. All right, looks like we got it through. Try to get it through. Again, you don't want to over tighten these just till it bottoms out. And then once it bottoms out, just a micro turn just so that it's snug. At this point, I always like to check the function, and I do that by holding the trigger forward. You want to pull and see if the hammer will go into half cock. It does. Full cock, push on the hammer, push the trigger, it all goes back. It's all working good. At this point, the next thing I like to put in is the trigger spring and cylinder stop spring. And that is going to be right here. It's a little flat spring, got two little tabs on it. Put it so the arch is facing up. There are two screw holes. You put it on this screw hole that is closest to the rear of the gun. You get the little flat screw, the spring, trigger spring and cylinder stop spring screw. I believe that's what it's called. This one can be, believe it or not, a little pain in the ass to get in there sometimes. This is the only one you might have to crank down on because it's under spring pressure. So you crank it down, get it good and tight. Probably a little bit too tight right there, but you get the point. Check it out. Trigger returns. Half cock, full cock, push trigger, everything's still working good. Cylinder stop is still out, still drops down. Looking real good. All right. Next thing to put in is the main spring, and that can be a job sometimes. There's this little ledge under the hammer right there with a roller on it. You want to get the top of the main spring right in there underneath that roller, and then you want to get this main spring in that groove right there. Again, I'm going to pause. You take a pair of needle nose pliers, you bend, you put a relief, you push it in there, and then you get it flush with the groove. I'll be back in just a moment when I get this done. All right, 5 short minutes later, I got this thing in. And so far, let's just check it out. We got half cock, full cock, fire. Seems to be looking good. You always want to check, make sure the cylinder stop is doing what it should, and it apparently is. Hand is coming up. Function looks good. So let's go ahead and put on the trigger guard. Got this little tab right here. It goes underneath the lip right there. You take the trigger guard screw, which is the second smallest screw in the set. Another one you don't want to over tighten, but you want to make sure it's snug or the trigger guard will rattle on you. Check it out once again. Seems to be functioning good. All right, the next thing we want to replace is the loading lever, plunger, whatever you want to call it. Pretty simple. Just slide it in. These can be a real pain sometimes to put in, so we'll see how I do on this first attempt left-handed here. See if we can get it in here. Come on, don't be a pain on me. There we go. It looks like it's going to go in. Excellent. Got lucky. Excellent. Now you want to put the cylinder pin in now, because if you don't, you won't be able to get it in if you put that screw in, because the screw is what retains the cylinder pin. There's a flat side. The flat side goes down. Let's see if we can get that in there. Come on. Don't be a pain. Of course you're going to be a pain. see if we can pick this back up. Kind of hard to do when you've got a camera right in your face. There we go, slid right in. Goes right like that. Get it into position, get the screw. Get it in there. Oh, there we go, let's go through. Oh no, don't do this to me. There we go. Again, you don't want to over tighten these too much. Get this in there, looks good. You check that cylinder pin. That cylinder pin should slide out like that right there. So let's get it in there, put it in there, check the function. Seems to be working just fine. Let's get it up in there. All right. So the next thing I'm gonna put on is the grips. Fairly simple. Put one here. These grips actually look pretty good on this gun. Looks like walnut. It's been lacquered. Drop the screw in. So we can get the cylinder in. These cylinders don't go in as easy as the full-size new model Armies, but we're going to try it. You can get it in there. All right, looks like it's going to go. Come on now. There we go. There we go. Clicked into place. Let's get this in the, there we go. Check it for function. Looks like it's advancing pretty good. And that is the complete reassembly of an 1863 Remington Pocket Pistol, original, clone, Italian repro, whatever. Thank you for looking.